Okay, so that's the negligent stuff. I'm sorry, that's the intentional torts. Where we're going to spend most of our time in this chapter is with negligence. Negligence doesn't require intent, but it does require these four elements. Right? So negligence is the failure to exercise the duty of care that a reasonable person would exercise in the same situation. When we think of negligence, there's that term again, the reasonable person. You may remember that from our contracts unit. So I often say that negligence is, well, the law disfavors unreasonable people, right? Because as you move about in society, as you contract, as you go about the business of the day, you're held to the standard of a reasonable person. Okay, so what is negligence required? There's a mnemonic here I'll share with you guys in class, but the first element is duty, right? So the defendant, the negligent party, owe the duty of care to the plaintiff. One example of this, when you get in your car, you have a duty to operate your car in a safe manner. Breach, which means you didn't do it. Defendant breached this duty. The breach causes, or is the direct cause of, damages to the plaintiff. The plaintiff has a legal injury that can be an actual physical injury, property damage, pain and suffering, or any legal detriment. Okay, so let's spend the next few moments talking about negligence. I'm sorry, the duty standard, the first element of negligence. Reasonable person, all right? So all people are held to the standard of reasonable people as they move about in society, all right? That's thought to be an objective standard, right? And that should sound familiar from what we learned in contracts. Anytime we see reasonable person, we're articulating an objective-based standard that's thought to be factual. All right. Duty of landowners. All right. If you invite somebody to your home, to your farm, to your lake house, you have a duty that those premises are in fact safe. All right. Duty of professionals. Okay. So if I hold myself out as a professional, I'm held to the standard of other members of that profession. Right? So that's something we want to key in on. In other words, if I am a doctor, how I go about my job is compared to the standard of a reasonable doctor, not a reasonable person. Okay? Also, if you've ever heard the term malpractice, that is the same thing as negligence. It just means that we're dealing with a professional standard. So negligent doctor is being sued for malpractice. A negligent attorney will be sued for malpractice. All right, so that's the first element. The second element, the third element is causation. All right. And if it seems like we skipped over breach, that's because first and second elements really run together. The first element is an articulation of the duty. The second element is breach of that duty. So the defendant failed to meet the duty articulated. Okay, so when you get to causation, it's actually two causes, all right? Cause in fact, which is your domino effect. Plaintiff would not have been injured if the defendant was not driving at a unsafe speed. All right. So causation, in fact, is your domino effect test. Proximate cause is often called the legal cause. And this is really a question of foreseeability. All right. And this is best illustrated with examples, which we'll do in class. But proximate causation, what we need to know is that if the chain of causation gets too long, then even if cause in fact exists, the conduct, the injury might have not been foreseeable. And if proximate cause doesn't exist, then we're not going to hold the negligent party liable. All right, so when we're talking about this, we're really talking about sensational things like train wrecks and plane crashes and things of that nature. We'll use several examples to illustrate this in class. Damages. All right, so if a party is negligent but it doesn't result in damages, there's no claim for negligence. All right, damages mean that the defendant's conduct injured the plaintiff, and the plaintiff must have suffered actual harm. No harm, no violation, no negligence claim. All right.